Good morning. Don Pelayo checking in this morning. Today is Monday, July 21st. I would normally be at work today, but I took the day off. My boss is in Milwaukee at a conference, so I thought it would be a good time for me to take a day off, and here we are. Today is also my mother's birthday. My mom is 69 today, which I can't believe. It's like I have my birthday coming next month. My mom had just turned 20 when she had me. And so I'll be 49 next month, which is unbelievable. That doesn't even sound right. It really doesn't. I feel like I'm a 25-year-old trapped in a 50-year-old body. That's kind of the way I feel right now. But it is what it is, I guess, right? Um, well, I have been sitting down and really thinking about my goals over the last couple days since I had a long weekend. I thought I would really kind of clamp down on my budget and really start making some plans. I'm getting ready to have some big debts fall off of me. I'm getting ready to be done with the big credit card account. I told you guys about that before. And I'm hoping I'll get a raise. I have a review with my boss, not next week, not this week, but next week. So it likely won't be a huge raise, but every little bit helps and will help me start building my savings a little bit faster. I have been thinking a lot about what I want to do with the rest of my life, you know? Um, I had some general ideas about some things that I wanted to do. I've thought about traveling to Spain and doing the Camino, but I've still got probably a good 30 years left of life, and it's kind of like, well, 30 years, believe it or not, goes by very fast. 30 years ago, I was getting ready to leave on my church mission. Let's see. Yeah, it's July. So I started my church mission to Spain in August of 1995. So I've only got about that amount of time left to live, and I'm kind of like, whoa, that really puts it in perspective. It really does. It really does kind of put it in perspective, and that's if I live to 80. I may not live that long. So it's time to start making some concrete plans and really planning out the things that I want to do with the remaining life that I have left. So, the next year and a half through the end of next year, the end of 2026, is all going to be about building up my savings, cash, retirement accounts, paying off some of the remaining debt that I have. But really, I've kind of put the debt a little bit secondary, which is not what Dave Ramsey teaches you. He wants you to just pay that debt off as quick as you can. But I'm just like, I've got to start building some assets. I need to start building some savings. Um, the more I think about it, it's like I have this house and it's just me here, and it's like I keep thinking that maybe I don't really need a house, you know? Although then I look and see what everybody's paying for rent, see what people are paying, and, to have a roof over their head. And it's like, well, shoot, my mortgage payment is less than $1,100 a month, um, total, that's the entire mortgage payment. That's including property taxes and the insurance. So all of that's I have escrow, so that's everything. And so then I started thinking about, like, well, maybe it just makes sense for me to stay here. Because it just seems a lot more expensive out there now. I got a 3.25% interest rate on this house. So some people would think I would be crazy to want to sell it, but it's like this is one of my biggest bills. And I think what I'm thinking in terms of cash flow these days, and it's like, how do I really ramp up my cash flow so that I can really put some substantial savings away? And I have to be honest, it's like I hate bills. I hate bills. I don't want to pay bills anymore. And I think that's part of it, because it's not just the mortgage. The mortgage payment is, like 1075. Then I have homeowners association, which is about 140 a month. So now you're up over 1200. I pay electric, and I pay for an alarm system, and I pay a water bill. So you throw all that in, now you're approaching $1,500 a month. And I think when I think about it, I'm like, well, that's $18,000 a year I could be putting in my retirement, retirement fund to get me done working sooner. And that's how I think about it. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit different than because if I didn't have this house, I'd have to be living out of a car. And it's like, my car that I have right now is decent size, but it's not big enough for me to live out of comfortably. So I think if I were going to do that, I would probably trade in my car on some kind of van or something a lot bigger. Um, I did that for 2 years. I lived out of my car for 2 years when I was after my second divorce. Basically, it was either paying child support or paying rent. I didn't have enough money for both. So I paid child support and I lived out of my car. And it sounds, to some people, it would sound horrible. It would sound absolutely miserable living out of your car. And I was really worried about it when all that went down, when I first had that first night, sleeping out of my car. I didn't know how this was going to go. I was really kind of feeling pretty bad about it. But looking back on it, it wasn't that terrible. It really wasn't. The hardest part of it was that I was living in Florida. The summers were kind of tough. So what I would do is, I would stay out until I wouldn't go to sleep. I wouldn't go to bed until about 11 o'clock at night. And I would get the car nice and cold with the air conditioning and then turn it off and then try to fall asleep before it got warm in the car again. But I'd always wake up and I'd be a little bit sweaty and stuff. And, that was the hardest part of it. But overall, it's like, it really wasn't that terrible. I don't know. I know it's crazy to be thinking about that, but I mean, I'm okay paying my mortgage. I mean, I'm paying my bills. I'm not behind on anything right now. I'm paying my bills, but I just really want to make more progress with my savings goals than I am right now. It's like I'm going to be able to put some in my savings, a little bit more. I've been putting in money into my retirement. But I really want to ramp it up. I mean, I think I could, if I really busted my butt and really cut back on things. I mean, I could probably retire by 58 if I really cut things out. I mean, so we're talking less than 10 years. I could potentially do it, but I would really have to make some uncomfortable cuts, really, really minimize my life. Anyway, so I'm working through those things in my mind. This is just a reminder for you young people. If you are young, if you're in your 20s, or if you are a parent that has kids or teenagers or young adults, the earlier you start, the easier it is. It's like, I know people, these kids, these young people, they want to get their life started, and they want to have a house, and they want to have a cool car, they want to have all this stuff. But my advice: minimize your payments as much as possible. I look at bills now, and it's just like it makes me nauseous. It's like I don't want to have any bills. I don't want to have a single bill. If I could help it, if I could survive without having one bill, I would do it. I I just, yeah, that's my feeling about it. I want to keep all the money that I work for. I want to keep every dang dime that I'm working for. That's honestly how I feel. That's probably not realistic, um, but that's how I feel. So I have a bunch of junk in my house. I have a lot of books. I have a lot of stuff. And honestly, the more I look at it all, it's like most of it, very little of this is very important to me. There are a few things in my house that I'd like to hand down to my kids, but I mean, I could just have a big garage sale type deal, sell a bunch of stuff out of the house, and then sell the house, trade in my car for a van big enough where I could lay down in at night. I'd be fine. I would be fine, especially being here in North Carolina. Winters would be a little bit tougher because it does get colder up here, but I could get like an emergency. I could get a sleeping bag, and I'd be fine. I'd be completely fine. And it's not that I'm doing it because I feel like I have to. I don't have to do that. I don't. I'm got a mortgage right now. I'm making my payments. It's fine. I'm paying it, but I just feel like I want to make faster progress towards retirement. Because the way it is right now, I could probably, with my current goal, I'm looking at age 62. Um, age 62, I could probably retire at 62. That's kind of my goal because I want to be young enough and healthy enough that when I retire, I can go and do these hikes in Spain that I want to do. I want to hike the Camino de Santiago, the Camino Frances. I also want to do the Via de la Plata and the Camino del Norte. Maybe the Camino Portugues too. There's a few different hikes over there that I would really like to do over there in Spain, and those are a few of the hikes that I'm really wanting to do, and it's just a matter of you know retiring as soon as I can so that I have the time to go do it. That's kind of where I'm at. So that will be. I've got more thinking to do that way. I could certainly start selling some things out of this house. There's a lot of stuff in this house that I don't need. I've got a lot of books that I might just wind up selling just to get rid of stuff. Um, I have a lot of baseball cards. Nothing too valuable. I used to have some decent cards, but I sold a lot of the higher end stuff that I had. I had some graded PSA graded baseball cards that were some of them were fairly nice cards. I had a 1980 Topps Ricky Henderson. I had the early 80s rookie cards. Tony Gwynn, Sandberg, Boggs, um, and they all had pretty good grades on them. And I sold them, I think, when I was buying my house because I was buying so much stuff for my house. I sold the baseball cards to help in buying things for the house. But I still have some. I have a lot of autograph cards, some prospect cards, things like that. I don't think I have anything too valuable in there. I do have like some Aaron Judge rookie cards, Otani cards, but I'm gonna have to make some choices about what I want to do. I could probably go out on eBay and sell most of that stuff, and I don't know. I might get a few $100s out of my baseball card collection. I wouldn't expect to get too much. I think out of all my baseball cards, I might be able to make $500 out of it. And it's like, is it really worth going through all the work of selling it? For $500, it's like, not really. I have an autographed Nolan Ryan baseball with certificate of authenticity. I have just a bunch of stuff. Is a lot of it's these books I need to get rid of. Most of the books I probably wouldn't get that much money for. I do have some really nice Easton Press books that I could probably sell for a decent amount. I could probably get another $500 out of those. I have a complete set of the Harvard Classics, which I could probably get 400 or 500 bucks for. So I could probably raise just out of the stuff that I just mentioned, maybe 1,500, 2,000 bucks, which I could then immediately dump into investments. But I don't know. I've got a lot of thinking to do. um, I do want to leave my daughters an inheritance too, and that's kind of important to me. So there's been this conflict within myself. Retire early and go and do the stuff in Spain that I want to do, or just keep working and working and working until I drop dead and save as much as I can for my daughters. I don't know. I mean, I want to leave my daughters some money, and I could probably handle my goals for them through life insurance. I've been thinking about getting a life insurance policy to have some money in case something happens to me. I do think a lot about my daughters and the world that they're going to be living in. I'm a little bit worried, a little concerned the way things have been going. The United States is not an easy country to live in anymore. You look back at the way society was in the 50s and 60s here in the United States, and it just seemed a lot easier for people to make it. It's like today, it's like all the money is going into corporations and share value, and there's just no money for families. It's, I hate saying that, but but it's the truth. It is. It's like we don't have a middle class anymore. It's like all of it's tied up in retirement accounts, and share value. The people that have retirement accounts, a lot of people can't afford stocks or IRAs or 401ks, and they're just trying to eke out enough money just to pay the bills that week, and it's like, so those people were falling further and further behind, and I'm afraid that there's going to be a uprising. I mean, it's not hard to imagine right now. I could see it. I mean, the way people were struggling right now, I could see it happening. Um, we need to be less concerned with shareholder value and more about healthy families, here in the country, because this isn't going well. I think we're going to see more and more upheaval, more and more protests from this if we don't start seeing families feeling more, benefiting from capitalism. I'm a capitalist at heart. I believe in the capitalist system, but I think we just need to get back to a capitalism where more people were benefiting from it, like we had back in the 50s and 60s. The way it is right now, the only people benefiting from capitalism are the business owners and just the very top of the top professionally. That's everyone else is struggling, is basically paycheck to paycheck. Um, and that's not a healthy country. It's not. So that's where we are. That's what's on my mind. You guys, please tell me what's on your mind. I'd like to read some comments. Please subscribe if you like this information. This channel's fairly new, and I'm just trying to put out content as consistently as I possibly can. Fortunately, I had today off, so it was easy for me to put a video out. But I'll be back at the grind tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. And anyway, you guys take care. I'm going to be, I am going to dash this evening, run some DoorDash. I've got to get back on my routine, hitting my goals that way. I want to see I want to make more financial progress than I've really been making. And it's just a matter of me pushing myself. It's like, you get to this point where you're age 50 or close to 50. I'll be 49 in August. And you're tired. You become more tired physically, and it's like I do feel it physically. I'm feeling my age a little bit more, and my energy levels are a little bit off, and I don't want to work until I'm 80. Who wants to work until they're 80, right? And I do. There are some things I want to go do in retirement. You know, um, so that's probably what's going to happen. I'm going to try to retire at 62. So that gives me 13 years to prepare for retirement. And that might involve me relocating out of the country. The more I think about it, the more I think that might be a possibility. Um, a lot of people talk about that these days, about moving abroad. The main reason I'm thinking about it, I mean, I love the United States. I mean, this is my homeland. This is where I grew up, but it's just so expensive. It's so expensive to live here, and I feel like I could relocate to southern Spain and have a very good quality of life at about half the cost. And so, and especially when you're working with a limited retirement budget, if you can cut your expenses in half, makes a lot of sense. Especially where it's somewhere you enjoy. The only problem I have with it is that, all my family is going to be back here in the United States. I'm going to be there by myself, and that will bother me a little bit. That'll bother me some. Um, I've mentioned this before, but if my parents are still alive, I won't do it because I'm not going to leave them elderly and just up and leave them. Um, I do have to worry about my younger brother who is autistic, who he stays at a state-run group home. Um, but my parents check in on him every week. They bring him home every week. And so if my parents are no longer around, I'm going to have to be the one, I'm going to we have to make sure that he's okay. Um, anyway, so there's some things I have to think about. Um, I'm just getting old. I'm getting old and I don't like it. It's not fun. You people in your 20s, man, if I was 20 years old again and I could go back and tell myself at 20 years old how to handle things, forget about the relationship bullcrap. I mean, I hate to say it. I know when you're 20, your hormones are raging and everything, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I mean, I hate saying it. I'm glad that I had children. I'm very happy that I had kids. That's been one of the better parts of my life, is having children and watching them grow up. But the marriages the marriages and the just the ordeal that I've been through with marriage has been difficult. Um, it has really been difficult. So, I that is just going to have to be something that I I would say, I mean, unless you like have your high school sweetheart, and you just can't imagine living your life without that person, you know, grab a hold of her and make sure, I lost the girl that I felt that way about a long time ago, and I've never quite recovered from that. It's always been a problem. Um, and honestly, truthfully, I probably should not have gotten married after that. To be honest, I shouldn't have. It wasn't right for me to get married after that. I don't think my heart was in the right was I didn't have the depth of feeling for the other people that I married that I had for this one person that I lost, and I just shouldn't have gotten married. I really screwed my own life up by doing that. I don't regret having my kids. It's not that. It's like I'm glad that I had children, but I wasted so many years on people that I wasn't really that in love with. They weren't really in love with me either, I don't think. Um, my first wife barely wanted to have much to do with me. My second wife, she acted like she hated my guts for 3 years. It's like, what the hell, and it just, I shouldn't have gotten married at all. After all that happened, but it is what it is. Um, so now so if I was going to, tell young people, you'll know who that person is. I think you probably, if you've experienced that, you'll know who that person is. And if that doesn't work out, I would think long and hard before trying to replace her with somebody else, because unless you just are absolutely, you know, you can't imagine, your life without this other person, and you love her more than any other person that you've ever met in your life, don't do it. Don't do it. So anyway, I will just let you know that, start early, start building yourself, start building skills. I was telling people, I'm going on and on here. Education is not a degree. The little piece of paper is not an education. It's the skills that you gain getting that piece of paper. So when you're in school, don't make it so much about, oh, I've got to get straight A's, or forget about all that. Think about the skills and the knowledge that you're gaining, and how you can best use those skills, and think about things that you can really convert into income later on. I would definitely be thinking for, if I was a young person right now, I'd be looking into computers. Um, of course, the technology area is always growing, but you want to be on the cutting edge of that stuff. With technology, you have to be in the real, where all the need is, like cybercrime, you know, artificial intelligence, quantum computing. There's some areas very highly, cutting edge technology. That's where you want to be if you're in that sector. But you could also go into medicine. You could really specialize as an attorney. Law, not every lawyer makes a ton of money, but sometimes it's best if you specialize in a particular area. Um, you can specialize in family law. You can specialize. Of course, people aren't getting married as much anymore, so I don't know how great that career path will be going into the future. But you also have like real estate attorneys. You could, there's just all kinds of different ways you could go with law. Um, you could look at engineering. You can look into becoming an electrician. I think as electricians could make a lot of money. I mean, really, when you think about it, even just starting your own business and having people hire you do things in their house. But as an electrician, especially if you're a really good electrician, you really have honed your skills. You know, you could clean up. I think you could. I think you could, if you kept yourself busy. I bet you could make $250,000 a year as an electrician. Um, so there's a lot of things that you could do. Um, there's going to be a lot of need for power, for more energy, with all these data centers they're building and all of that. So, and then probably that's going to be coming from nuclear energy. So that's something else to look into. Um, and then of course, with the cash that you're earning, you can't just let it sit in the bank. You've got to be having that money work for you. I would keep $5,000 in cash, maybe at most. Rest of your money needs to be working for you in investments, and very, very broadly diversified, not just stocks, but I'm talking about gold, silver, stocks, I'm not real big on bonds, but I would have some real estate, either raw land or rental properties, or if you don't want to deal with tenants, I can understand that. You could invest in REITs, real estate investment trusts. You can buy those and have those in your portfolio. There's a blue million ways to invest, but you're going to have to get out of holding currency and have those dollars working for you in investment. So anyway, I've gone on long enough. It's about half an hour now. I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I am going to go out at 5 this evening in DoorDash. So this is Don Pelayo checking out. You guys have a great day.